Are you gonna
All right, good evening. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to let me interview you.
no problem?
I just want to start off with a little bit of background on you. So go ahead and.
Well, my name is Daniel Sotelo. I'm 42 years old. Um, I have experience in multiple sports, uh, mainly contact sports, for the most part, football, from the Pop Warner to the high school and some college level, to MMA. I've been doing MMA for about 6, 7 years now. That's kind of where I'm coming.
All right. Um, Question number one: when you're coaching adults, is your what's your reasoning for the exercises you put them through during training?
Well, I think with the adults, they all come for reasons. Some guys are actually there to train a fight. There's other guys that are there just to kind of better themselves or get in a better condition. And we actually had a guy not too long ago who was there for the sole fact that he needed to get in better condition or shape because he had health problems. So we kind of
Mm-hmm.
helped him out a little bit, but there's just different reasons and different backgrounds.
All right. Next question: is having motivation a big part of going into training for a sport like this? Why or why not?
It's definitely you definitely have to have motivation. If you're not there for a specific reason, sports like this, if you don't go in prepared and you're not motivated and driven and focused, um, I think the worst thing that can happen is you can get hurt being there, from something as small as twisting an ankle to something serious as tearing a knee. So yeah, motivation is definitely a factor. You really have to be motivated to do these kind of sports. It, it, it also makes it a lot easier, a lot more fun in some cases.
Right. Um, would you use a different coaching approach from a team sport and an individual sport?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Uh, with um, with team sports, you have to deal with a lot of different personalities and different backgrounds, different age groups, different depending on what level you're working with. Um, so it's definitely a different approach. Whereas in MMA, if we're doing it's kind of a one-on-one thing. We're focused on one guy. Say he has a fight coming up, we can all put our focus on just that one person, and everybody. You got people from different angles seeing different things and picking up on certain things, whether it's a weakness or a strength. Um, so yeah, there's definitely a different approach to both sports or different kind of sports as far as from a group to an individual. Definitely.
Right. Um, in this sport, which is MMA, are there any social practices that may hurt a fighter's performance or training routine?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that would I would probably have to say the most obvious, and that would be you know the party, the social party type scene. It'll weigh on a guy physically, um, from him not eating properly or maybe drinking too much, staying out late, not getting enough rest. We all know that rest is really important. That's when your body kind of recovers and recuperates. So definitely that would make a big difference. You got guys that are a lot more disciplined that tend to eat better, uh, take better care of themselves, get plenty of rest. They actually even avoid the whole social scene in general. It's just they call it sacrifice, I guess. Yeah.
As a coach, would you suggest to a fighter that while in training, do they avoid the kind of like the social scene altogether, or do you think there should be like a balance?
Um, I think there should be a balance. I think when you go out and hang out with your friends, or you're in that social group type of situation, you just got to have your limits. Know when to say when to go home, or when not to take a drink, or when not to do certain things. So it's definitely yeah, that it we don't we try not to tell guys what to do. Obviously they're grown men. They
Right.
they have their own lives and they make their own decisions. But you know, the guys we surround ourselves really know what they're doing and set limits. So it's not that hard to kind of implement or enforce some of those things.
Okay. Um, as far as discipline, How important do you think it is to have discipline in this kind of sport?
Discipline is very important. It kind of leads to motivation in some cases. You know, if you have that motivation, then, you know, to me, it's kind of vice versa. You got guys that are disciplined, it helps them to get motivated, where you got guys that are motivated and it helps them to get disciplined. So, you know, discipline is really important. And then it just plays all the different factors, plays into different factors as far as like, again, you know, discipline as far as like eating right, taking care of yourself, getting enough rest, and so on. Kind of the things that I mentioned earlier. So those are discipline is really important, and it also develops. You know, it makes things easier for you to kind of get to the gym and get to training when you're supposed to be there. You know, balance your time and make sure that you know you're warmed up and you're ready to go, and this way you don't get hurt. So discipline is really important, very very important.
At an adult age, do you think it's harder to kind of teach or install discipline in an adult than it is at a younger age?
No, I think it's harder with the younger age guys because you know they tend to think that they know everything and they're invincible and things
Right.
like that. Where you know I find that guys that are a lot more mature, and I don't know if you I would go based off the age group because I know guys that are young that think like grown responsible men, and yeah, again, I think I don't think it has a lot to do with age or you know young age or older. I think it's just the person themselves. You know, if they really want this, you know, they'll they'll do what they have to do. In some cases, you know, for some of these guys, it's a job, and that's how they get fed, and that's how they live their lives, and that's how they support their families. So it's you know, it, some guys are really guys that I know that, and I've worked with different guys coming from different backgrounds and different levels. You know, guys that really want it, you know, it's not too hard to you know instill things in them or talk to them or get them to do certain things. You know,
Right.
if they're you know they know that we're trying to help them and make them better,
You
then
know,
you know they're going to take in as much information as they possibly can, and they're going to take it
so you
and
just
they'll be welcome with it. Yeah, they're
right.
welcoming with that kind of information. Yeah.
Um, do you believe that there should be different approaches on coaching someone by age group? Like, would you take a different approach on coaching, like Pop Warner football than you would?
Yeah, yeah, you know, kids, you know, they some kids have a short attention span, or
Right.
some of them just, you know, can't sit still, you know, so you kind of have to kind of play a parent role in some cases, you know. Uh, with the kids, I find that, and with my experience, it's easier to get them to pay attention to certain things if there's consequences. You know, if you okay, well, you know, if this doesn't get done or if we're not, you know, focused, then you know there's going to be some consequences at the end of practice or something. So you know, with adults, it's completely different. You know, they know they're there, like I mentioned earlier. They know they're there to get a job done and to prepare themselves for a fight or whatever the situation is. So yeah, they're totally different approaches. Totally different approaches.
Right. Um, with different techniques as far as working out being developed and different sport like technology in sports advancing,
Mm-hmm.
how do you kind of keep up with everything that's being developed and like the new ways of training as
Mm-hmm.
far as like better
Yeah, I call it evolution.
right.
I mean, if you don't evolve, yeah, you get left behind, and
Yeah.
you're kind of on the bottom of the. You know, we tend to keep up with these things in different ways. I think with us, for the most part, it's you know, we get guys from different gyms that come in and spar, guys that come in from different the gyms that just kind of come in just to kind of you know see what's going on, and you know, there's a lot of information that we exchange from you know. Minor injuries and how we deal with them to you know certain types of foods that are out right now that might help with certain things or you know, so for the most part, it's it's just you know, I guess social networking type. I guess in a way, sometimes you know it's just kind of like that. You know, even some of these guys, you know, we share information after training, and that's kind of our like um, our thinking time where
Like
we
your
just
database
we
kind of
kind of
thing.
just get together after practice and hey this is what's going on. Hey, did you hear so and so's doing this, doing that? So and so got hurt. It's just all about just being open and out there to all the different uh, people that come from different gyms and different levels. That's another thing too. You got guys that are higher level athletes that you know they obviously have a lot more information to share. So we're always all ears. I always tell the guys um, right after practice or after we're done training, it's kind of like you know I learned something new today, or did you learn something new today? There's always, I kind of believe that people, you know, should or could learn something new almost every day. I mean, it's there's so much information out there.
Right, that's good. Um, in the sport that you coach, have you seen an increase in participants throughout the years? Like, do you think the sport has
Yeah,
gotten popular?
yeah,
Yeah.
it has, and it's funny because we were just talking about this last week, where for some reason everybody thinks they can do it. Oh, I can do that, or I can beat that guy up, and this stuff is on TV all the time. It's the most popular thing. People do it or want to do it for different reasons, um, and we see guys come in and out all the time. Um, it's it's funny. When we go through certain training regiments or certain training sessions, that's kind of where we weed out the guys that are not there for to take it serious, and then they tend to just fall off or fall out or just never come back. So
Right.
yeah, it's a MMA. It's a very popular sport right now. Obviously, I mean you got the UFC and then some of the minor leagues. And like I said, I think the one thing is that everybody thinks that they can do this. Um, I always say not everybody's built for this, and they're not. They're definitely not. It takes a
Right.
certain type of person to do this. Who says that they want to make a living getting punched and kicked and choked out for a living? If
Yeah.
it's not for everybody.
Right. Last question. Um, you obviously know about the sport if you're training guys and all
I
that.
train with them as well. Yeah.
Where did you get your knowledge about the sport, and how do you incorporate the knowledge that you've learned and pass it on to the people you train with or the guys you
Well,
train with?
I basically started. I come from a boxing background. I started boxing years ago. I mean, that's kind of like always. I always loved the sport of boxing. The sport. That whole contact, one on one, just two guys, and one guy wins and the other guy loses. There's no other guys that you have to depend on as far as like in a team sport. If you lose, there's nobody else to blame but yourself. Um, it's just yeah, I, 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 like I said, I come from a boxing background. I kind of implement the hands and the striking and the hands. That's my job when we're in training. We got guys that, are better in jiu-jitsu, or you got guys, we got a couple guys that are Muay Thai kickboxers that are actually professional. So, certain days of the week, we go ahead and work on certain things for a certain amount of time, and then we kind of switch over. So, our training, it's more like you get guys from, again, different backgrounds that come in and kind of share their knowledge. And I got most of my information and most of my what I know as far as like from boxing was from working with multiple coaches. I used to kind of go from gym to gym because, like I said, you can always learn something new, and there's always a lot of things that you can pick up on working with different people. Some people tend to stay with just one trainer for the rest of their whole career, their whole lives, and I don't agree with that. I just think that some teachers are better than others. Those who can't fight teach, or well, I don't know. There's some type of saying out there, but yeah, it's my background is boxing, so that I bring my experience and what I know from boxing into the MMA and into our training sessions. And like I said, I'm there as a student as well when we go over kickboxing, or especially when we're on the ground rolling and things like that, because I'm still learning.
Right.
So
All right. Well, thank you for letting me interview you.
I gotta
And
go train.
yeah,
Is that good or?
yeah.
All right.